For this DIY, we are going to be using some of these wood planks and these two different fonts for rub-on stickers. Now I'm going to start by making my sides and my bottom of my box, and I'm going to just trace where I need to cut the sides of my box. This is really easy to do. I'm using my miter box to be able to cut these pieces. You could technically cut them with your scissors too, but honestly it would just tear your scissors up. So I'm using my miter box because I have it here on hand. Then I'm going to add some hot glue and some wood glue, and I'm going to just bring all of the sides together. So once I had the two long sides, I went ahead and added on the ends of the box. Doing the same exact thing, adding in the hot glue and the wood glue for that long-term, short-term hold. Make sure you get all the extra off the side so it's not spilling out and you have a nice clean finished side. Then I painted the boxes a light gray and a beautiful forest green. On the light gray, I used some of those rub-on stickers. I love these things because they're so cool. It reminds me of my days when I was a scrapbooker. And then on the green box, I decided to paint on the word winter. So the gray box says, "Baby, it's cold outside," and then the green box says winter. I think together these are so pretty, and in just a second they're going to start to come together where you're going to see me stacking them and doing some really cool stuff with them. So just take your time if you're doing any hand painting. I always love this because it's so therapeutic for me. I always trace it out first with my pencil, and then I go over it with a fine tip brush with my white paint. Now we're going to make something special for the box. I'm going to take some of these snowflakes that they have at the Dollar Tree, add one of these craft long sticks to it, and then I'm going to go ahead and let that dry and go ahead and work on putting in my foam into the boxes. So I just added some hot glue at the bottom, and I'm just putting them all down into place, and then I'm coming in with some greenery and some snowflakes that I put on those sticks and just really dressed it up, and it just looks so cute together. For this DIY, we're going to be using two oval plaques, one round wood plaque, and then these two different size craft sticks or dowels, either one you want to call it. We're going to start by taking out the twine that was on the three of these plaques, and we're going to do a hole right into that plaque. Now, I did not go all the way down through because I wanted it to be able to hold this stick. So we're going to go ahead and put that stick on, as well as two other shorter sticks on this oval sign. Glue that on. I also added in some wood glue, and I'm making sure that it's straight because you don't want this to be crooked, so make sure you check it before the glue really dries. And then I'm coming back in with some more hot glue and some wood glue, and I'm going to bring on that other piece. Now this is turning into the coolest farmhouse Christmas decor. Now once that putty was filled into the holes and it dried, I went ahead and sanded it to smooth it out, and now I'm taking another one of these dowels and I'm cutting it down to size so that I can use a star at the top and help support the side so it doesn't break over time. I wanted to make sure it's nice and flat up there at the top so it can support the points of the star. So I added on some more hot glue, put on a larger and a smaller star so it has a nice layered look, and at this point we can now go ahead and start to stain our wood. Now this project, I've got to tell you, was so much fun because I was kind of creating it and coming along as I was going, making these decisions of what would be best. And so here I am, I'm taking a little bit of brown paint, black paint, and some water, and I'm using it as a stain. It's a really affordable way if you don't want to go out and work with stain, which can be even more messy. This is almost like working with watercolors, and it cleans up really easy. So once I have that all painted, I left that oval in the middle because we're going to be doing something really special there in just a few minutes. I'm going to take some of this buffalo check ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just hide where these ovals are coming together because we don't want to see down inside there. So this really finishes the sides really nicely. When you get to the bottom of the oval, just go ahead and take your scissors and snip it off because you are going to run into the dowel that's holding up the oval sign. Then you're going to come around on the other side and you're going to go as close up to that wooden dowel you can get and just clean it up. And then as well, we're going to come around the bottom of the base. Now once everything is dry, we're going to go ahead and come back in with some white paint. And I did 2 coats of this so it was really crisp and beautiful. And I just made sure there was that wood showing around the sides. I also painted the star and the dowel that's holding everything together and up. So I came in with a smaller brush where I needed it, a bigger brush where I needed it, and I just took my time painting all the white areas that I wanted it to have. Then once I was all done with that and the paint was dry, I came back in with a really pretty grayish blue color, and I lightly dry brushed the top to look like the night sky, and then I came in with a greenish, almost like a greenish brown color, and then I did the grass with a dry brush, and then you saw that I did the sticks for the manger and the little bed for baby Jesus. And now I'm just coming in with some hay, and I used some white to create his head and his little swaddling. And I'm just coming in with some lighter brown and just finishing off the hay. And you also saw that I used the fine tip brush to circle around the head and the body of baby Jesus. Then I used my handwriting and I just wrote on Merry Christmas in pencil. And then I came back in with my black paint and my small brush and I hand painted the rest of that. Now I wanted to sparkle up that star just a little bit, so I added some hot glue in between the stars, and I'm just adding in this really chunky, thick, vintage looking glitter. I thought this looked so pretty. Then at the bottom I added a bow and some of the Spanish moss, and it's ready to be displayed. For this DIY, we are going to take this wooden star from the Dollar Tree and we are going to make one of the easiest DIYs. We are going to just simply paint it white or whatever color you want, honestly. And then once it's all covered and dried, we're then going to take it and we're going to use a ruler and we're going to create a shiplap look by using a thin pin and a ruler, and we're just going to create lines going across the star. This will give it that shiplap look. Really easy to do. Take your time on this, and I'm just using the width of my ruler and I keep moving up all the way to the top. Now you can use your silhouette or your Cricut for this if you don't feel comfortable with hand painting. You can do that with all of my DIYs, but I always want to encourage everyone to try something new, to learn a new skill, especially when it comes to crafting. I find that hand painting is so therapeutic for me. And it's just so fun. As you continue to do it, your skill will get better and better. So you can use vinyl or you can use your hand painting. And once you're done, go ahead and seal it. I found that it's important to seal it when you're using these rub-on stickers from the Dollar Tree, so that way they don't peel off the paint. And then add a bow at the top and you're ready to display it. For this DIY, we're going to be taking a can lid, an actual glass jar lid that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I took it outside and I spray painted it black, and now I'm going to use some scrapbook paper from this pad of paper. I'll link it down below, but I liked this one in particular because I felt like this damask looked like it had a little Christmas tree on it. So I went ahead and traced a circle with that center piece on the lid, and now I'm going to just cut it out. I'm going to glue it on with some hot glue, and then I'm going to pop that right into the metal ring. I'm adding in some hot glue on the 4 corners of this round lid, and now I'm going to just pop that in there so it stays in there nice and snug. Once that's nice and dry and ready to go, I'm going to take my Craftober. This is one of my favorite tools. I'll link it down below. In fact, I'll link all my tools down below. But this particular tool is the coolest because it goes through metal and wood and plastic, anything you can think of, it will most likely go through. Leather. So you can see that I ended up popping out 2 holes there, and I'm putting on a piece of twine. I tied a knot, brought it back inside of the can because I wanted to make sure it had a nice clean look, And now I'm going to bring through a piece of wire going the opposite direction down into the can. And this is so that I can wire on this little greenery. Now you don't have to do this, but I felt like the lip was not very thick on the rim or the ring of this, you know, lid. I wanted to make sure it stayed on there. So I'm just going to use this to just twist on, snip off the extra, and that way it really stays on there really well. And it's made with, you know, quality versus just kind of gluing it on. I don't really trust glue that much. And then I'm going to add on some berries and a little bow, and at this point it's ready to be hung up and displayed. For this DIY, we're going to be using one of these 3D wreath forms, a piece of foam, 2 of the snowmans from the Dollar Tree, as well as 2 picks and some fabric. Now I'm going to be using this red and white gingham fabric and some white felt. Now we're going to start by just popping off one of the hats on one of the snowmen. And then I kind of switched gears for like 2 seconds because I realized, oh, hold on a second, I need to make my base for everything to be going into. And I took apart that 3D wreath form, and I'm only going to be using one of the largest wreath forms. So I'm now going to take that piece of foam, you saw me cutting it apart with my scissors, and we need something to be able to put everything on. Otherwise it's just going to get loose and weak and fall apart. So what I like to do is I like to cut a piece of foam, and you can use your scissors or a craft knife or even a kitchen knife of whatever you have on hand. And then I just pressed that wire down into the foam and glued it into place. Now we're going to go back over to the snowman, or shall I say snow woman, because we're going to be making a girl snowman or snow woman. I just did it again. That's so funny. Anyway, we're going to just take some of that fabric. I took some of the white felt, rolled it up, put it right at the edge, glued it on to the top of the head, and then I'm going to just get another piece of this felt and push it down in there so that way it stays nice and fluffy and it doesn't lose its shape. And then I'm going to bring it together with a piece of twine, cut off the top, and you have made yourself the cutest little snow girl. So now we are going to take some of these dowels and we're going to cut them down to the size that you'll need of your foam and the back of the snowman's heads. And we're going to just push that down in there because we want to make sure that these don't pop off if you have windy weather. Where we live, we have a lot of windy weather at this time of year, and you're going to just put some hot glue down in there, and this is going to allow them to become nice and fastened onto this foam piece that we put on earlier. So go ahead and just pop that right in there. I don't know why I enjoyed this part so much, but it felt really fun. It's kind of like when you're building IKEA furniture and they have those little wood nubs that you have to put in between to bring together a dresser. Leave a comment down below if you've ever built IKEA furniture. They usually have a lot of those. I think the craziest one that I ever had was when we were building our island for our kitchen. There felt like there were 1,000 of those things, and I actually really enjoyed doing that part. So once you have your 2 snow people on, I'm going to add some hot glue right in between them to make sure, again, that bonds it and holds it and just helps it stay together. Now we're going to take 2 of the picks from the Dollar Tree. We're going to break them all apart and keep putting them into that foam, just making sure we cover all of that green color because we want to make it look like it's a whole bunch of pretty greenery on there, not the foam. And just keep playing with it until you get the look that you like. Now I really wanted there to be a pine cone between the 2 of them, but I didn't like that it was pushing it so high up. So I took my pliers and I'm just going to cut away any of that pine cone that's not allowing it to lay flat. Once you had everything all in place, go ahead and make yourself a bow. And now I'm going to take the end of my bow tails and I'm going to hide the last of that foam so nobody will see it on your front door when they come up to knock on your door. So I'm going to just go ahead and put some hot glue, tap it all into place, and then to finish the look, I thought it would be really cute to take this cotton stem and go ahead and just place that right in between them on the bow.